In our quiet neighborhood, everything seemed perfect. The lawns were manicured, the houses were pristine, and everyone knew each other. Life was peaceful, until Emily Parker moved in next door. At first, she seemed like the ideal neighbor, friendly, caring, and always ready to lend a hand. But we had no idea that beneath that charming smile, we were about to become her next obsession. I remember the day I introduced her to my parents. My mom, Mary, was her usual warm self, and my dad, Robert, was polite. Emily beamed, saying, "Oh, please, call me Emily. I feel like we're practically family already." My mom just smiled, completely unaware of how literally Emily meant those words. It wasn't long before practically family turned into a daily intrusion. Emily started showing up every morning, uninvited. One day, I walked into the kitchen to find her at the stove, making breakfast. "Mary, sweetheart," she said, waving a spatula at my mom, "I'll handle the kitchen from now on. You just relax." My mom's welcoming smile began to fade, replaced by a look of confusion and unease. It didn't stop there. Emily started reorganizing our living room furniture, telling me what clothes I should wear, and even instructing my dad on how to handle home repairs. Our house slowly stopped feeling like our own. It felt like Emily's territory, and we were just living in it. My mom tried to be patient, thinking Emily was just a little eccentric, maybe lonely, but her patience was wearing thin. The final straw for her was when Emily rearranged the family photos on the mantelpiece, moving my mom's picture to the back. When my mom confronted her, Emily just smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, I thought this arrangement looked much better, dear. More balanced." That's when Emily took her campaign outside our home. She started whispering to our neighbors, painting a picture of my mom as incompetent and overwhelmed. I'd overhear snippets of conversation while getting the mail. "Poor Mary," Emily would say with a sigh. "She just can't manage the home anymore. I practically run their house now, you know. Someone has to look after Sam," and people started to believe her. We began getting sympathetic looks, offers of help we didn't need. The community my mom had been a part of for years was slowly turning against her, poisoned by Emily's lies. The true horror of her intentions became clear at an HOA meeting. The meeting was about landscaping rules, but when it was time for new residents to introduce themselves, Emily stood up. "Hello, everyone," she began, her voice filled with a disturbing confidence. "I'm Emily Parker, and I'm Sam's guardian." A confused murmur went through the room. She continued, looking directly at my mom. "His mother is, well, she's emotionally distant. He needs a strong maternal figure, and I'm here to provide that." The room fell silent. I looked at my mom. Her face just crumbled. All the color drained from it, and her eyes filled with a pain I had never seen before. I was furious. I stood up and shouted, "That's Ali. She's our neighbor, that's all." But the damage was done. The seed of doubt was planted. That night was the breaking point. I found my mom crying alone in her bedroom, clutching a family photo. "She acts like I don't exist in my own home. Sam," she whispered, her voice choked with tears. "She's trying to erase me." Seeing my strong, vibrant mother so broken and defeated lit a fire in me. I knew I had to do something. This wasn't just strange behavior anymore. It was a calculated attack on my family. I had to stop her. I decided to do some digging. I started by talking to our HOA president, Mrs. Collins, and a few other neighbors who seemed wary of Emily. One of them, Mr. Walker, looked grim when I mentioned her name. He told me Emily's behavior seemed familiar. With his help, I started looking into her past. What I found was chilling. This wasn't the first time she had done this. We found records from 3 previous neighborhoods. In each one, the pattern was the same. Emily would target a family with an only son, insert herself into their lives, and try to replace the mother. In every single case, she was eventually forced to leave after her obsessive behavior escalated. Emily wasn't kind or helpful. She was a predator who moved from family to family, trying to steal a life that wasn't hers. Armed with this information, I was ready to confront her, but she beat me to it. The next afternoon, the front door opened, and Emily walked right in without even knocking, a casserole dish in her hands. "I'm here to make dinner," she announced cheerfully. I stepped in front of her, blocking her path to the kitchen. "Emily, this has to stop," I said, my voice shaking with anger. She just gave me that unnerving, plastic smile. "Sam, darling," she cooed, "I'm just trying to help. I'm the mother figure you actually need." Just then, my mom came down the stairs and heard every word. The sound of her sharp gasp was like a physical blow. Her heart was shattering all over again. "That was it," I snapped. "Emily," I said, my voice low and cold, "you are not my mother. You will never be my mother. Get out of our house." For the first time, her smile vanished. Her expression turned dark and twisted. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "If Mary just disappeared, then you'd see who truly cared for you." Her threat hung in the air, cold and terrifying. That was the final trigger. This was no longer just harassment. It was a direct threat against my mom. I immediately called Mrs. Collins and told her everything, including Emily's veiled threat. She called an emergency HOA meeting that very evening. The Johnsons, Mr. Walker, and a few other concerned neighbors were there. When Emily arrived, she looked defiant. Mrs. Collins didn't waste any time. "Emily, we have received multiple, serious complaints against you," she said, her tone firm. "You have crossed boundaries, harassed the Johnson family, and entered their home without permission." Mr. Walker then stepped forward. "She did the same thing in her last neighborhood," he announced to the room, "and the one before that. It's a pattern of obsessive harassment." Faced with the evidence, Emily finally broke, but it wasn't with remorse. She began screaming, her face contorted with rage. "They need me. I'm better for them than Mary ever was. Sam needs me." Her delusion was absolute. The HOA board was unanimous. They voted to ban Emily from having any contact with our family and began the legal process to have her removed from the neighborhood. A restraining order was issued the next day. Within a week, a moving truck was parked in her driveway. We watched from our window as she left, her car speeding down the street without a backward glance. A profound sense of peace settled back over our home. The tension that had been strangling us for months was finally gone. My mom started smiling again, her genuine, beautiful smile. I apologized to her, over and over, for not seeing the signs sooner, for letting it get so far. She just hugged me and said, "We're a family, we faced it together." Our neighborhood returned to normal, but we were all a little wiser. In a world full of strangers, the most dangerous one can be the neighbor who desperately wants to become your family. But we learned one unshakable truth: a mother's place is sacred, and it can never, ever be taken. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.